All right, what's up? Big card this Saturday. I got a guest for you from over in the UK, Will from Your Boxing Guys here. Got him on a Zoom call right now. We're talking Dillian Whyte, Alexander Povetkin. So I had to bring in some European analysis. You're in the UK, right, Will?
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, we're gonna send it out to Will right now. Let's get started. First, let's talk about, a lot of my subscribers are gambling addicts, they're degenerates, so let's talk betting first. Have you taken a look at the odds yet for this fight?
Yeah, it looks like Whyte is the clear favourite, and I can understand why. Povetkin's the older man, Whyte is just younger, he's fresher. And if you look at, a lot of people look at Whyte's last performance, and it was against, his last one was against Marius Wack, and he didn't perform very well in it. And the one before that was against Oscar Rivas, where he got put on the floor. But the thing is, when he going into those two fights, he had a lot of problems. The fight, when he was going into Rivas, the fight was almost called off on the day before because he apparently had tested positive for drugs. So you can imagine going into a fight the day after thinking that you might be pulled out of the fight because of you've just been tested positive for drugs. So I don't think you can take anything looking into those performances. But if you look at Povetkin's last performance, it was against the cruiserweight in Michael Hunter, who's coming up into the heavyweight division, making his debut. And Povetkin was quite lucky to actually just get a draw. So I think going into this fight, Whyte is definitely the favourite. He's the younger, he's the fresher, and I just think he'll be too big, and I think he'll be too strong for Povetkin on Saturday night.
All right, I'm loving it. I'm betting Dillian Whyte. So what do you think the keys are to both fighters? Start with Dillian Whyte and then move on to Alexander Povetkin.
Sure. Well, a lot of the talk before the fight has been about the left hooks. They're two of the best left hookers in boxing, not even just in the heavyweight division, just in boxing. So a lot of the talk has been on the left hook. But for me, Whyte needs to just keep it long and keep it straight. He needs to get behind his jab. He needs to hit the 1-2 and get on the move. Whereas Povetkin, he needs to use that left hook. He needs to get inside Whyte, and he needs to use the left hook to the body and to the head. But Povetkin has been training for this style his whole career. He's used to having taller fighters. He's used to getting underneath the jab and working the body and using his hook. So it's going to be nothing new for Povetkin because he's been training for the Whyte style. He's been training it his whole career.
Awesome, I love it. I know everyone loves to watch heavyweight fighters too. It's kind of like the Titans colliding, you know what I mean? Always love to watch heavyweights.
I was just saying there's something so special about watching heavyweights.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Next question, real quick. Let's talk about who has more to lose in this fight. I know Povetkin's an older fighter. You said 40, 41 years old. You said?
Yeah.
Oh, so you would think that Povetkin has less to lose, but why don't you give us your take on it? Which fighter has more to lose?
Well, I think Whyte definitely has more to lose. He's been mandatory for over 1,000 days, and it's the last hurdle. It's the last fight he has to have before he officially gets his title shot, which he's been waiting for so long. But with Povetkin, people are saying that he hasn't got nothing to lose, but I slightly disagree a little bit. He's definitely got it all to gain, but I wouldn't say he's got it all to lose. But given his age, this could be his last shot at a world title. And given the fact that he can go from a draw against Michael Hunter, and if he just beats Dillian Whyte, then he's mandatory for a WBC title. So I would definitely say he's got it all to gain, but I wouldn't say he's got nothing to lose because this could be his last shot.
Understood. And then I'm assuming, obviously I'm not a fighter myself, I don't know if you could tell, but I'm assuming it doesn't matter what your age is, you never want to, it's probably hard to hang up the gloves and call it it's not the easiest thing to do, I would imagine.
Exactly, yeah, I can imagine. So a lot of fighters always say that they struggle with hanging up the gloves because you go from having that buzz of walking in front of like 20,000 people, then all of a sudden, that's it, your career's just over. And they struggle with saying, where do you get that? How do you replicate that same buzz? I guess you can't.
No, there's probably nothing like it. All right, next, I want to ask, all right, because not everyone watching this fight is going to be a serious boxing fan. So why don't you tell us, whoever's watching this video that isn't a diehard boxing fan, what we should look out for as fans?
Well, it's all about the left hook. The whole build-up has been about the two best left hooks, definitely in the heavyweight division. So you have to look out for that. But Povetkin has to use that weapon. But I feel like Whyte can win that fight without using a weapon. Whyte's got a little bit more to his arsenal in the way that he can keep it long, he can jab, he can move, he can get into a tear-up, whereas Povetkin needs Whyte to bite and he needs Whyte to get involved in a war. And I feel that's Povetkin's only way of winning, is if he drags Whyte into a war and they both start trading left hooks, because they're both so good at left hooks that it really can be anyone's game if they start trading. But Whyte should be the clever of the two and say, I'm not going to trade, I'm going to keep behind my jab. But you don't know with Whyte, because he loves the fight and he loves the tear up. So if Povetkin decides to trade left hooks, then I'm sure Whyte would be more than happy to oblige.
He's not going to be able to resist the brawl.
Exactly.
All right, cool. I like that. So we were talking right before we started recording, and you had mentioned all these risky fights that Dillian Whyte was taking. Do you think that he's pushing himself too far? Is this one too many?
Well, we know he's been mandatory for nearly 3 years, and in that time he's fought Parker, Rivas, Chisora, Helenius, Brown. There's been no need to take any of them fights. Most fighters would have just sat there and just waited for the phone to ring to get their world title shot. But the problem with Dillian Whyte is he just loves fighting too much, and they offer him easy fights, but he doesn't want easy fights because he wants to learn and he wants to fight the best that's out there. So for me, I just don't see the fight as being one step too far for him, because he just loves to fight and he really will fight anyone. So for me, yeah, I just don't see the fight as being one step too far for him.
I agree. I mean, personally, I know that's a lot of the criticism with boxing, especially in comparison to MMA and UFC, where these fighters, every card you see number 3 versus number 4, number 5 versus number 6, and then us boxing fans, we're like, when we see that, we're like, man, I wish that happened that often, you know? So I like the mandatory fights. I like watching it. So I'm a fan of this.
Yeah, absolutely. You should. I wrote only a small article on my website about comparing the UFC to boxing in terms of the matchmaking, and I compared Henry Cejudo's last 5 fights compared to a British boxer, and it was like Henry Cejudo fought champion, then number 1, then champion, then 2, then number 1, and then it was like the British champion fought 15, not ranked, 7, not ranked, and it was just like, God, it's so different.
It's crazy. Actually, if you want to check out that article, I link right in the description of this video. Feel free to go check it out. Also, a link to Will's Instagram too. Make sure you throw him a follow, like his stuff, post great content. So let's move right along to. All right, time for the money question. So I know you said you like Dillian Whyte. Can you get a little more specific on it? Tell us where our money should be.
For me, the money should be on Whyte late. I can't see any other outcome than a Whyte win. I just think he's too young, he's too fresh. I think he's going to be too strong for Povetkin. But you have to remember, Povetkin's durable. He's a tough Russian, and he's not going to go away easy. Some people are saying if he catches him early, he might go, but I don't see it. For me, I think they're going to get into a war, but I think eventually Whyte will get to Povetkin, and my money would be on rounds 9 to 12 for Dillian Whyte to get the finish.
We're 9 to 12. Dillian Whyte late finish. I like it. I will bet it. You should do the same. All right. So I know these questions are impossible to answer because no one knows for sure. But I need to ask, are we going to see Dillian Whyte get that title shot? Are we going to see a rematch between Dillian Whyte and Anthony Joshua? And if we do, does Dillian Whyte have a chance?
I think we definitely do see the fight again. There's so much history between the pair of them. I mean, Whyte beat him in the amateurs, Joshua beat him in the professionals, so technically they're one apiece. So I think we'll definitely see the fight again. And we know Whyte hurt Joshua when they first fought, and with Whyte just improving and improving, I think he definitely does have a chance of beating Joshua. But I think we'll see it maybe early next year, but I think by the end of 2021, I think we'll see that fight.
Also, I would love to see that one. All right, I got one last question for you, and it's the most annoying question in the world because no one can answer it. But everyone wants to know, everyone wants to see it. Heavyweight champions, will we ever see the belts unified? Will we see Tyson Fury Joshua, Deontay Wilder Joshua, Dillian Whyte Joshua versus Deontay? Who knows? But will we see the belts unified in the next 2 or 3 years?
I think we will. I think potentially next year we'll see the belts get fully unified. And if we don't see the belts get fully unified, I think we can still expect to see the big fights. I think we will still see Fury versus Joshua, Whyte, Fury. I think that eventually, maybe next year, they will fight each other. But whether it's for all the belts, there's just no way of telling. But I mean, a fight for me, the biggest fight is Fury against Joshua for all the belts, which is so close. But then, if Whyte wins and Fury gets through his next test, then they have to fight each other, and there's no, that's a really tough fight for Fury. So, yeah, you'd like to think that eventually over the next year or so we can see all the belts unified, but I think we'll definitely get to see some of the big fights happening. But whether all the belts will be on the line, there's no telling.
Yeah, there's no one can answer that. And because you just mentioned that, and both these fighters are from the UK, I gotta ask, who would you like in that fight?
It's just such a good fight. It's just so intriguing. For me, Fury is the better of the two. And I think if they do meet, then I can see Fury getting the win. I just feel like he's too quick. He's too sharp. And the only way that people saw Joshua winning against Fury was by saying, right, well, Fury hasn't got the power, so Joshua can walk through him. But we saw in the last performance against Wilder that Fury does have power, and he's not just capable of boxing and running rings around you. If he wants to, he can put it on you and he can really hurt you. So I just don't see a way that AJ comes through that and comes out of the win.
I like Fury too. You know what? I wasn't a fan of Fury. I was a Deontay Wilder fan because I'm so close to New York. But when he won the last one and took the mic, not his stupid song, not the song, but when he said, "Finally, the king has returned to the throne." That's when I was like, you know what? I kind of like this guy. He's made me a believer.
Yeah, it's so hard not to like him. I mean, you just look at where he's come from. I mean, he deserves so much respect. Even if you like him or you don't like him, you have to give him respect.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so that's the last question I have for you. Make sure you check out Will's Instagram, Your Boxing Guy. The link's in the description. Link to his website also in the description. Go on his Instagram, follow, like, comment. If you didn't like what he has to say, go tell him. He'll love to debate with you. So thanks for tuning in, and let's watch this fight Saturday.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Awesome, man. Cool. And I'll be in touch. I'll be sending you a message after the fight Saturday. Make sure you're watching.
Also, rounds 9 to 12, remember?
Yeah, I'm going to remember. My money's going to be riding on it. Man, I'll talk to you soon.